My boss was barely conscious in the passenger seat, and a black SUV was following us through the Seattle rain. Water hammered the windshield so hard the streetlights turned into long yellow streaks. The wipers moved back and forth, but the world still looked like it was underwater. Inside the Rolls-Royce, it was quiet. Almost too quiet, except for the soft sound of the engine and Elena's uneven breathing beside me. She still wore her blazer. Her white blouse was a little wrinkled at the collar, like she had tried to hold herself together and lost. Her head leaned toward the cream leather seat. Above her, the fake stars in the roof glowed like a private sky for rich people. "Why is the world spinning?" she whispered. Her voice did not sound like the woman who talked to boards and investors. It sounded small and tired. I kept both hands on the wheel. My gray t-shirt was damp at the collar from the walk through the rain to the garage. I did not look like I belonged inside a car like this with a woman like her. That was fine. Tonight, my job was not to fit in. It was to get her home alive. "Water," I said. "Slow breaths. Keep your eyes closed." "I only had 2 glasses," she said. "I remember the toast." Then, nothing. My eyes shifted to the rearview mirror. The same black SUV that had left the fundraiser lot behind us was still there. Same distance, same speed. No passing. No turning off. I did not say the thought out loud, saying it would make it real. Someone messed with her drink. Elena's lashes fluttered. "Are you angry?" she asked. I tightened my grip on the wheel until my palms burned. I watched the road, the rain, the SUV, and her pale face in the mirror all at once, like I could hold everything together by looking hard enough. "Not angry," I said. Focused. A weak laugh slipped out of her. "You always sound like that when everything is on fire." The SUV stayed with us when I turned off the big road and onto darker side streets. No blink of headlights, no test pass. Just a shadow that refused to leave. One mistake and Elena Marlowe would lose everything. CEO. Market favorite. The woman half the city loved and the other half loved to hate. One bad photo of her drugged and falling down and they would say she deserved it. Officially, I was her executive assistant. The quiet guy who managed calendars, screened calls, kept tempers smooth, and stood to the side when board members walked past. On paper, I was support staff. In reality, I was the wall people slammed into when they tried to cross the line. 2 years earlier, she hired me after I caught a security breach at her competitor while I was on a short contract. I walked into her old office, dropped a printed list of compromised credentials on her desk, and left before the receptionist could ask my name. She found me anyway. "Can you stop this from happening to me?" she asked that day. I had not sold myself with a speech. I had just handed her a list of weak points and met her eyes. She read the answer there. Now her inner circle had 3 key names. Julian Pike, CFO. Smooth, charming, always smiling. The board liked him because he sounded safe. Marcus Vale, VP of Operations. The one who made things move on time and watched everyone while pretending not to. And me, Kane Mercer, quiet in the hallway. Known only by results. The fundraiser tonight was in our own event space. Cameras everywhere. Champagne. Press. Too many ways to destroy a woman if you wanted to. The SUV behind us felt like one of those ways. Elena's head rolled toward the window. Her breath fogged the glass. I forced my voice to stay calm. "Stay with me," I said. "Tell me something that's true." "True?" Her lips curved in a faint, tired smile. "You never drink at events." "Not even when Julian offers." "That's true. You watch the room like you're counting exits." "That's also true," I said. Her gaze drifted to my hands on the wheel. "You're hurting the steering wheel." I eased my grip a little. The SUV moved closer, closing the gap. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. Unknown number, no caller ID. I ignored it. Headlights from the SUV flared, then dimmed. A test. A signal. Maybe both. I turned without using my blinker. Then again, the rolls slid through the wet streets like a quiet weapon. The SUV stayed with us. "I think I'm going to," Elena started, pushing herself up. "Lean toward the door." I said quickly, my tone even like a fire drill. "Crack the window, you're okay." She did it, not because she was weak, but because she trusted that I did not panic. The SUV surged forward. Tires hissed on the wet road. The space between us vanished. I did not speed up. I did not slam the brakes. I changed the field. At the next intersection, I swung left into a narrow service lane behind a line of warehouses. The bright city lights fell away. The street lights grew thin. Puddles turned into small dark pools. The SUV followed. I waited until the lane forked. Then, I killed the headlights for 2 seconds. Darkness swallowed us. In that black window, I swung right into a loading bay and hit the brakes. The SUV shot past the turn, its headlights sliding across empty rain. I turned the lights back on and counted 2 slow breaths. My pulse steadied. Elena blinked, confused. "What did you do?" she asked. "Bought us time," I said. At the far end of the lane, the SUV's brake lights flashed red. Then its reverse lights came on. Time ended. I took Elena to the only place I trusted that wouldn't draw attention to her home. The building. Our office. No paparazzi waited outside a downtown headquarters at midnight in a storm. No neighbors peeked through blinds. The building had my cameras, my locks, my server room. By the time we rolled into the underground garage, Elena sagged against the seatbelt. "I can walk," she murmured, pride fighting nausea. I parked and turned off the engine. Up close, she did not look drunk. She looked drugged. Pupils too wide, skin too pale. Breath shallow but steady. I opened my door, walked around, and opened hers. Rain slapped my shoulders and ran down my neck. "Kane," she started. "Arms around my neck," I said. I crouched so she could reach. She hesitated like she wanted to keep the last piece of her dignity standing, then lifted her hands and obeyed. When I stood, her weight settled against me. Light, but not nothing. Real, human, my responsibility now. I carried her through the garage door, badge beeped soft at the reader, then into the elevator. Her cheek pressed to my shoulder. Her hair smelled like expensive shampoo and champagne she should never have drunk. On the executive floor, I took her into my small security annex. Plain couch, clean blankets, a mini fridge with water and electrolyte drinks, a med kit on the shelf. "Your office?" she mumbled. "Safer than your penthouse," I said. "Because you don't trust my security," she tried to joke. "I trust mine more," I said. Her fingers curled in my shirt like I was the only solid thing in a spinning room. While she fought sleep, I turned on my monitor wall. Camera feeds filled the screens. Garage, lobby, street. No sign of the SUV yet. Then I opened the building's video archive from the event. The ballroom appeared on screen. People in suits. Lights. Glitter. I scrubbed through until I saw Elena at the champagne table. She laughed at something Julian said. A server went by with a tray. Elena took a glass. Marcus walked into frame. He was not looking at her face. He was looking at the drink. He paused at the table like he was checking a place card. His hand dipped. Something small flashed between his fingers, quick and casual. He leaned over the glass for one heartbeat. Then Elena lifted it. I slowed the video down, frame by frame. A tiny tilt of his wrist. A drop that should not be there. My throat went cold. Not with fear, with purpose. I bookmarked the clip and copied it. I pulled badge logs for that minute. The system confirmed his ID, his device, his access token. Behind me, Elena shifted on the couch. "Kane," she whispered, "what are you doing?" I walked back to her and lifted her chin gently, checking her eyes, counting her breaths. Then I held a bottle of water to her lips. "Small sips," I said. She obeyed. Then her voice came out thin. "Am I in trouble?" "You?" I said. I tucked the blanket higher over her shoulders and moved so my body was between her and the glass wall like a shield. "No." I looked back at the glowing screens. They are. Elena slept in pieces that night. I did not sit at my desk. I sat on the floor beside the couch, my back against a cabinet, my laptop on my knees. I kept my eyes moving between her and the wall of screens. Every time her breathing changed, my attention snapped back to her like a reflex. Her hand slid off the blanket once, fingers trembling in the air like they did not trust anything to hold them. I did not grab her hand and make it soft. I did something better. I opened the med kit and took out a small pulse monitor. I clipped it to her finger and watched the numbers on the tiny screen. Heart rate, oxygen. Both a little rough, but steady. Then I set silent timers on my phone. One for water, one for checks. No guesswork, just planned care. By 2:30 in the morning, some color had started to return to her face. Her eyelids did not flutter as much. Her breathing evened out. When she finally woke, it was slow. She pushed herself up on her elbows, looked around my small annex, and frowned like the room had insulted her. "I'm in your bunker," she said. "Security annex," I said. The bunker is in my head. Quote. I slid a bowl across the low table toward her. It was plain soup I had heated in the microwave. Nothing fancy, just warm and easy to keep down. Elena sniffed it. "Did you cook?" "Microwave," I said, her lips curved weakly. "So you're not a miracle worker." I did not smile back. I watched her hands. They held the spoon without shaking. That was what mattered. "What happened last night?" she asked. Her voice was rough. "You remember the toast?" I asked. She nodded. "Yes." Then the room blurred. "You were not drunk," I said. "Not how people get drunk." Elena went still. "Kane." "Someone slipped something into your champagne," I said. Her throat moved as she swallowed. "Who?" "I have a strong idea," I answered. "I will get proof you can use." She looked at me for a long moment. Her eyes were clearer now, sharp even through the leftover haze. "You're certain," she said. I did not try to comfort her. I opened my laptop and pulled up the clip. I turned the screen toward her. There she was on the footage, laughing with Julian at the champagne table. A server with a tray, her hand reaching for a glass. Then Marcus stepping in, his hand dipping. That small, wrong movement. Her jaw clenched. Not in shock, in cold anger. "I knew he hated me," she said quietly. "I did not know he'd risk this." I saw her straighten her shoulders. The armor started to go back on, but this time it sat on someone who knew the attack, not just the threat. "Phones," she said. "Do you have mine?" "In the car," I said. "I did not want you waking up to headlines." Her eyes flicked to the monitors. "Is the board going to find out?" Quote, "They will see what you show them," I said. She stared at me like she was seeing me with new eyes. "What are you, Kane?" she asked. I did not answer with a job title. I opened a different screen. A network map filled it. Red marks showed silent attacks that had been hitting our systems for weeks. Little bites at the edges, trying to make us look weak and sloppy. "This is what has been happening under the surface," I said. Slow cuts. "Looks like accidents." "It is not." "Julian said the instability was because you were overhauling too much," she said. "Julian says what helps Julian," I said. "He needs you to look careless." "And you let him say that?" she asked. I lifted one shoulder. "Sometimes you let a man talk until he thinks he is alone." By evening, she was steady on her feet. The building was almost empty. Outside, the city lights glowed against the wet glass. Inside, our floor felt like a clear stage. I ordered takeout to the office. No candles. No soft music. Just 2 containers of hot food and a stack of napkins. We ate in the annex with the monitors on silent. Elena took off her blazer and rolled up her sleeves. Her hair was pulled back in a loose tie. She looked less like the woman on magazine covers and more like a tired human who had been standing in a storm for too long. "If Julian and Marcus are both involved," she said slowly, "why now?" "Because the board vote is tomorrow," I said. "The merger and the story they built around it. If you look unstable, the board thinks they need a temporary replacement. Temporary becomes permanent." She stopped with her fork halfway to her mouth. "They would destroy me with one photo," she said. I did not tell her they already tried. I showed her. I opened a second file and put it on the screen. A still frame from the garage camera, me carrying her in the rain, her arms around my neck, her face pressed against my shoulder. It looked like a stolen romantic moment. It also looked like scandal. They already had a camera on us, she said softly. Yes, I said. And you? She asked, staring at the image. You carried me anyway. I did not shrug it off. I did not say some line to make it pretty. I set my phone on the table beside the picture, screened down, and pushed it away like a weapon I refused to use. I did what kept you alive and out of a ditch, I said. Something shifted in her eyes. Respect was already there. This was something else. A new understanding that the quiet man by the door was not quiet, because he had no power. She set her fork down. If this ends tomorrow, she said, her voice lower now, I do not want to regret what we did not say. My breath stayed even. My body did not move closer. I just looked at her and gave her the space to choose. Then say it, I said. She leaned in first. When her mouth met mine, it was not soft or shy. It was firm, clear, a kiss from a woman who chose on purpose. Her fingers tightened on my wrist. My hands slid to the back of her neck, holding her steady but not forcing her. She tasted like cheap office dinner and expensive fear. When she pulled back, her eyes were bright and sharp. No mistakes tonight, I said. Her lips curved in a thin smile. Good, she said, because tomorrow I'm going to burn them down. At 3:32 in the morning, the building reminded us we were still in a fight. All the monitors flashed. Then they went black. The soft hum of the servers changed pitch. A fan somewhere below us whined like a siren. Elena snapped awake on the couch. What is that? She asked. An attack, I said. I did not raise my voice. I picked up my go-bag from the cabinet. Flashlight, spare drives, small tools, gloves. She stood and slipped her heels back on with a hard click. Her hair was pinned back again. War mode. You should stay here, I said as we stepped into the elevator. No, she said. If they are coming for me, I want to see their faces. The elevator dropped us to the lower level. The air was cold and dry. The server room door read my badge and hesitated like something inside was fighting it, then unlocked. Blue lights blinked in rows. The pattern was wrong. Someone had tried to wipe the video from the fundraiser. They had scrubbed the index, the easy way, thinking that erased the footage. It did not. It just hid it. I jacked in and went under the broken layer. I pulled the raw file straight from the disk. The clip sprang back to life. Marcus at the table. The drink. The drop. Elena stood behind me and watched her own almost ruin with a hard stare. Marcus, she said. Yes, I said. Another log caught my attention. An access spike at the same time the cameras were hit. The user account was not mine. Not a system bot. It was Marcus. Own credentials. Then I saw a small purchase on his corporate card. Late night pharmacy. Item redacted. Signed with a code only operations had. I opened the internal messages and found one flagged by the system. It had been sent and deleted fast. From Julian to Marcus. Make sure she can't speak tonight. One photo is enough. Elena pressed her hand over her mouth. Her eyes did not water. They hardened. You have it, she said. Enough? Almost, I said. I exported the footage, the access logs, the deleted message, and the records into one sealed file. I locked it with a hash code that would show if anyone tried to change a single frame. Then I slid the small drive into a hard plastic case made to show if it had been opened. I snapped it shut. The sound was small, final. I locked the main server rack with a real key, not just a badge. Then I pocketed the key and the drive. No more back doors. No more, maybe. Elena stepped closer. The cold air from the servers brushed past us, but she felt warm. I am not asking you to save me, she said. I am asking you to stand with me. I met her eyes and nodded once. Then we do it in the open, I said. The boardroom smelled like polished wood and quiet fear. Floor-to-ceiling glass showed the Seattle skyline, all gray clouds and wet light. Inside, the air was still. Men and women in dark suits sat around a long table, faces calm, eyes sharp. They liked control. They liked simple stories. Tonight, they thought they were about to hear one. Elena sat at the head of the table, back straight, hands steady, face calm in a way most people would call cold. I knew better. Calm was what she built when she had to stand on ice. Julian sat 2 seats down from her. Perfect tie, perfect smile. The board leaned toward him when he spoke. He sounded like good news even when he was handing them a knife. Marcus sat near the middle, half slouched in his chair, arms loose, eyes moving. He looked relaxed. He was not. I stood behind Elena's right shoulder, not at the table, not in their club. It did not matter. My suit jacket fit wrong on my shoulders, but I was exactly where I needed to be. "We are concerned about leadership stability," Julian started. His voice was warm, smooth, the tone of a man who wanted everyone to feel he was on their side. "The market is sensitive. Our investors are nervous. The optics last night were not helpful." A board member cleared his throat. "What optics?" Julian clicked a small remote. The big screen on the wall came to life. There I was, carrying Elena through the underground garage. Rain on my shoulders, her arms around my neck, her face turned into my chest. The camera angle made it look like a stolen moment, like a secret. Soft gasps moved around the table. A few raised brows. One woman sat back, eyes narrowing. "This is not about her private life," Julian said, sounding almost sad. "It is about risk. Public risk. Elena, were you intoxicated at a company event? Were you compromised?" The trap was neat, simple, a yes or no that would hang in headlines. Elena did not flinch. She did not rush to defend herself. She looked at me for half a second, a quiet signal. Time. I stepped forward and set the small sealed case on the table. It made a soft click against the wood. "Before we talk about optics," I said, "we should talk about facts." Julian's smile went tight. "And you are?" he asked. Like he did not know, Elena answered. "Kane Mercer," she said, her voice clear, "Acting Director of Security and Cyber Response." "Acting?" one board member repeated. "He has been acting in that role for months," she said, quietly. "Because someone was bleeding this company." The board shifted. A few looked at each other. I kept my eyes forward. "Mr. Mercer," one of them said to me, "do you have something relevant to the incident?" "Yes," I said. "Elena was not drunk. She was drugged." Julian laughed. It was small and false. "Come on, this is dramatic." I picked up the remote from in front of him. No one stopped me. The screen changed to the ballroom footage. The champagne table. Elena taking a glass. Julian talking beside her. Marcus moving into frame. I slowed the video and let it roll. The board watched Marcus pause. Watch his hand dip. Watch that small wrong tilt over her glass. "This is from our own security system," I said. "Time-stamped. Signed by the server. Unedited." This is Marcus spiking her drink. The room went quiet in a way that felt heavy. Marcus sat up straight. "That clip is edited," he said. His voice was too sharp now. I clicked again. The screen split. On one side, the clip. On the other, the badge log showing his ID ping that exact second, at that exact spot. Then the access log where his account tried to scrub the video index at 3:12 a.m. Another click. A copy of the deleted internal message filled the center of the screen. From Julian to Marcus. "Make sure she can't speak tonight." One photo is enough. Julian's fake smile died. A woman on the board looked slowly from the screen to Elena. "Is this real?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Pulled from our server room after someone tried to delete it. I have the raw data and the math to prove it." I clicked again. A hidden ledger appeared. Fake vendors. Fake invoices. Money sliding out in clean lines into empty shells. All signed off under Julian's projects. "You were not just removing a CEO," I said quietly. "You were building a controlled failure. You shake the company. You profit when the stock drops. You pitch a steady hand to fix it." That hand is you. Quote. Marcus shot to his feet. This is a witch hunt. I stepped forward, placing myself in his path. I did not raise my voice. I did not push him. Sit, I said. He looked at me and saw something he had not noticed before. Not an assistant, not background. A wall. Solid. Unmoved. He sat. Elena, Julian said, turning back to her, palms up now, charm cracking. We can discuss this privately. No need to. No, she said, just that one word. It cut through the room. We talk here, she went on record, with the board, with the evidence in front of us. She turned to face them fully. Her voice stayed even, but I could feel the fury under it. You tried to drug me, she said to Julian and Marcus. Photograph me and move me out of my own company. For money. For control. A board member who had been quiet finally spoke. We need an immediate vote, he said, voice tight. Suspension. Referral to law enforcement. Independent audit. No one argued. I had already called security, not the team Marcus liked to use for show, mine. 2 plain suit men came in and stood by the door, calm, waiting. Julian's shoulders sagged. Marcus's jaw clenched. As they were escorted out, Marcus shot me a murder glare. You're just her assistant, he spat. I leaned in just enough that only he could hear me. No, I said. I am the reason you got caught. The door closed behind them. The board started talking about statements and crisis plans. Legal steps, insurance, all the moving pieces of a broken machine. Elena stayed seated at the head of the table. Her hands rested on the wood. Her shoulders finally dropped an inch. She looked less like marble now and more like a person who had survived impact. I moved to the glass wall and watched the hallway through the reflection. Habit. I did not stop scanning for threats just because the room had shifted. They were going to end me, she said quietly. Yes, I said. And use you to hide their mess. I pulled my phone from my pocket and set it on the table in front of her. I tapped the screen to open the camera, then flipped it to record. Say what you want the market to hear, I said. We release it through official channels. No leaks, no rumors, your voice first. She looked at the phone, then at me. You always do that, she said. Do what? Put the wheel back in my hands, she said. Even when you could drive. I did not answer that. I just nodded once. She hit record. Her message was short, clear, no drama. She said there had been an internal attack, that senior leaders had been removed, that law enforcement had evidence, that the company was stable and would not hide from the truth. When she finished, she stopped the recording and set the phone down. Come with me, she said. To where? I asked. The lobby, she said. I want people to see you beside me. We walked out together, side by side, not boss and assistant, not in that old way. Employees at their desks looked up, surprised to see the CEO at this hour. Then their eyes slid to me. They watched how close we walked. They watched her glance at me, like I was not just a shadow. Respect is not announced. It is noticed. Later, when the building emptied and the storm outside turned to a fine, light rain, we stood by the big window on the executive floor. The city glowed under the wet sky. So, she said, looking at our reflection in the glass, did we just set my whole life on fire? Maybe, I said, but we did not strike the match. We just turned on the lights. She laughed once, soft and tired. Then she looked at me in the glass and added, if we survive the next week, you know this changes everything between us. I met her eyes in the reflection. It already has, I said. A week later, the rain still had not learned how to stop. Every morning, the city woke up under a low gray sky. Headlines changed, but the weather stayed the same. Julian and Marcus were gone now. The news called it an internal power struggle, a failed coup, a fraud ring. People debated who knew what. Online, they guessed. They filled in blanks. Inside the company, the story felt different. People walked a little slower in the halls. They looked at Elena with something new in their eyes. Not just fear, not just awe, something like trust. On Monday, She called an all-hands meeting in the atrium. The space was bright even under clouds. Glass roof, tall plants, steel and stone. A small stage faced out toward the open area where employees gathered with coffee in hand and tension in their shoulders. I stood at the edge of the crowd, close enough to move if something went wrong, far enough to watch the whole room. Elena stepped up onto the low platform. No teleprompter. No cards. She wore a simple black suit, hair pulled back, makeup cleaner than usual. Less gloss, more steel. "We are rebuilding trust," she said into the mic. Her voice echoed off the high ceiling. "That starts with transparency and protection." People shifted closer. Phones went down. Even the ones who did not like her listened. "We had leaders here who tried to use this company, and all of you as tools," she said. "They are gone. Law enforcement has the evidence. There will be audits. There will be changes. But this is not only about what we remove. It is about what we build next." Her eyes scanned the crowd and locked on me. "I cannot do that alone," she said, "which is why, effective today, I am appointing Kane Mercer as head of cybersecurity and corporate security, publicly, permanently." There was a ripple in the crowd. A few people turned around trying to figure out where I was. Some already knew. Their faces said so. I walked forward when she nodded. It felt strange to step up onto the stage beside her, not stand behind her in the shadows. The lights above made my eyes squint for a second. Elena handed me a second mic. When she leaned in, her voice dropped low so only I could hear. "No more shadows," she said. I nodded once and turned to the crowd. "We will harden every system," I said. My voice was not loud, but it carried. "We will audit every vendor, every access point. We will not pretend problems are accidents when they are not. No one will touch this company or the people in it without leaving tracks we can follow." It was not a pretty speech. It was simple. That was enough. Applause rose from the floor. It was not wild, but it was real. Some of those people remembered seeing me at desks, in halls, holding doors, carrying files. Now they knew why I looked at ceilings and corners before I greeted them. When the meeting ended, the atrium slowly emptied. People came up to Elena with questions. A few shook my hand. Some just gave a small nod as they passed. I took it in, accepted it, stored it away as a new kind of duty. Later, the executive floor felt oddly quiet. The storm outside had thinned to a soft, steady drizzle. The city glowed under it, all wet pavement and muted lights. The boardroom was empty now, but the memory of tension still sat in the air. Elena walked to the big window that overlooked downtown and stopped. She crossed her arms, then let them drop again, like she could not hold herself in old ways anymore. I stepped into the room and closed the door behind me, not to trap her, to give us a space with no eyes. She watched the glass for a long moment before speaking. "They were going to end me," she said. "Take my name, use my mistakes, steal my work, and leave me as a headline." I moved to stand beside her, not in front, not behind. The rain traced lines down the glass. "They failed," I said. "They almost didn't," she replied. Silence settled between us. Not heavy, just full. "So," she said finally, turning her head to look at me, "did we make a mistake?" Her eyes were bare of polish in that moment. No cameras, no board, no audience. Just a woman who had walked through fire, asking the one person who saw all of it if she had ruined more than she saved. I walked toward her slowly. I did not rush. I did not reach for her right away. When I stopped in front of her, I lifted my hand and set it at her waist, firm and steady, giving her every chance to step back. She did not move away. She moved closer. She stepped into the space I offered, her body settling against mine like it had been trying to find that place for a long time. Her forehead rested against my chest for a second. I felt her exhale, long and shaky, like she was letting go of something she had been holding since the first day she said yes to power. "Look at me," I said gently. She tipped her head back. I met her eyes. "We did the right thing," I said. "We told the truth. We protected people. We cut out rot. That is not a mistake." "I don't mean the board," she said. "I mean this." Quote. Her fingers slid lightly along the front of my shirt, catching on a button. Her hand rested over my heart, feeling it beat steady under her palm. "This line," she said quietly. "Boss, employee, wall, we crossed it." "A long time ago," I said. "We just stopped pretending last night." A small laugh escaped her. It was tired and real. "Kane," she said. "If this goes wrong, it will not just be my name on the line, it will be yours, your career, your life." "I know," I said. "And you are still here," she said. "I am still here," I said, "because I chose this, just like you did." She studied my face like she was searching for doubt. She did not find any. This time, when I bent my head, there was no edge of panic, no taste of crisis. The kiss we shared in that quiet boardroom was calm. It was slow. It felt like finally letting something land after holding it in the air too long. Her hand slid up to the back of my neck. My fingers stayed at her waist, firm and careful. We were not hiding. We were not rushing. We were simply standing in the truth we had already lived. Outside, the rain kept falling on the city that would talk about us, judge us, praise us, or forget us. Inside, everything held. Systems, lock, evidence, us. Later that night, after she went home and I did one last walk through the building, I finally dropped onto my own couch. For the first time in days, my body began to believe it could rest. I woke to the buzz of my phone on the coffee table. Morning light leaked around my blinds. A single message from Elena lit up the screen. Did we make a mistake? No ellipsis, no emoji, just 6 plain words from a woman who knew exactly how much hung on them. I stared at the text for a second, then typed my answer with one thumb. No, we chose each other. I hit send, leaned back, and let the weight of that truth settle into place, like a lock sliding home.